Okay, here we go. Good morning, everyone. Oh, hi, Linda. Hi, Susan. Hello, Dawn. We are queuing up our, this is like watching the doors open at a party, Anna. We get to see who's all here and at least for a moment, and then I will get started, but we give it a minute just for everybody to get in the door. It is a beautiful, very warm day outside. And I hope everybody's staying warm, but enjoying all of this. Well, I'm trying to move stuff around here. Well, I hope everybody has had a really good holiday and a good couple of weeks. We took a little break for summer, but if I haven't met you, my name is Candace Swick. This is Village Chat. Welcome to Tuesday mornings at the Village, and we are here to do something really fun today. We've had some serious topics in the previous couple of series. Well, we were talking about the expansion and what's happening, so that was exciting. And then we were talking about financial planning and preparedness and those kind of things, which is important and exciting if you think that being prepared is exciting if you're kind of like me. But this is something fun. And this idea came to us from one of our residents. And when I asked, hey, give us some thoughts on what would be some neat topics for Village Chats. And one of them said, day trips. It's summertime. Where would you like to go on a day trip? And you could share that with people. And thankfully, some of you agreed to come on and co-host this with me. So we're doing something really different. We have our co-host Anna Wilson is with us today. You'll get to meet another gal next week, Jan Taylor. Both of you are residents, and you'll be with us through the month of July, talking about different destinations in Indiana.
Sounds really exciting. I'm really eager to participate.
Well, I love to travel.
So do I. I love
it. I think oftentimes we overlook what's in our own backyard.
It's true.
Even in your own town. I mean, because Lafayette itself is full of history and neat things to see. But we thought that we would take it out, venture it a little bit farther, and we would focus on where could you go in a day and come back home. I mean, you could stay a weekend. My husband and I do that, but we thought let's divide up our areas into kind of quadrants, pick a destination, and then let's see what's there and then what's along the way.
That's right.
Because that's the fun of day trips.
That's correct. You take all these little side
right,
trips,
like little
see
places.
This road that looks, hey, let's try
let's
that road.
try it.
Right.
I don't know about you, but when I was, so we were talking about, I'll back up a minute. We were talking about what do you need for a day trip? Like what should be in your car? And we said, well, you should have snacks, got to have your snacks, need to have your coffee, your waters.
Pepsi.
Yes, maybe get a little cooler bag full of that. And we were saying music.
Right.
And before it used to be tapes and CDs. Well, now it's just pull my phone up, cue it up to my playlist and hit play. So things have changed. The other thing that's really different from when I was young, and I wish I could have found one. I wanted to find one to show everybody, but there was, we used to have, maps that you had to read. Well, my favorite map was a spiral bound map of the counties and of the state of Indiana. So that gave me a sense of freedom that I could go anywhere. And I remember realizing that in the state of Indiana, all of the county roads, if it's 100, 200, 300, 400, well, all that, if it's north, south, east, west, say it's 500 west, well, then you are that far from county seat. So you're west of the county seat, 500, you just keep going, you'll get to 100, and that would take you directly into the county seat. So you'll never get lost.
That's right. And the county seats are usually so interesting.
Yeah.
The courthouses are so different.
And you could just drive around. And I remember when I was in my 20s, my best friend and I would just, on our days off, we would just grab the map, grab a drink, and get in the car and just go.
That's right.
And it was just see where we end up. And we never were afraid because we had learned the county seat numbers.
Mhm.
and we would just go explore Indiana. So anyways, I just thought, little side note on what should you have in your car? Nowadays, we have GPS.
Oh, yes, love that
I do
GPS.
love it. I do love it. I sometimes miss the feel of the maps,
Yeah.
but I do love that GPS.
It used to be, it was different when you could look at the map and say, okay, I want to go here and turn, and the GPS just tells you where to go. You don't feel it
No,
like you did
I
with the
agree.
map.
I agree. I mean, I still zoom out and
Mhm.
look at the whole route.
Right.
So I feel like I still have to have a visual of that, but it's
Mhm.
not quite the same, but
Not quite.
still. So what we've done is we decided, so we're going to go clockwise through the state,
Sounds
leaving
good.
out of West Lafayette or Lafayette, wherever you
Mhm.
are in this area. So our first is northeast, and we're heading up south of Fort Wayne. We are heading to Bern, Indiana,
Mhm.
to the home of Limberlost.
Actually, it's in Geneva, which is
Well,
about 4 miles south.
but if you put it into the GPS, it came up as
Up as
Bern,
Bern.
and I thought that was interesting. But anyways,
Yeah, it's
so
close enough. That's all this. Close.
the interesting thing about Limberlost is, well, one, Anna, you're from there.
I'm from there, and I grew up in the swampy area around there. I lived out in the country, and my grandparents were of the same era, the same generation as the authors,
Gene Stratton
Gene Stratton
Porter,
Porter,
who
who's
made Limberlost famous.
right. And an interesting thing, that the idea that where the name came from, Limberlost, because it was a swampy area, and that was the time when they were drilling for oil. And there was a lumberman, a guy called Jim, Limber Jim.
Mhm.
And somewhere he got lost out in the swamp. And the hunters, the people that were looking for him, would go through looking, Limber Jim, Limber Jim, Limber Jim's lost. Where is he? And that's how
they came to Limberlost.
the name appeared.
Well, it is a beautiful area. It is a historic park. Now, I have some things that we're going to share with you. I'm going to share my screen. So bear with me, everyone, because I'm hoping I have this right.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. So as you can see here on the map, we are heading over. It's about 2.5 hours from here, according to GPS.
Well, it takes me about 2 hours.
Where are you driving like?
I drive fast. I love to drive fast.
And according to GPS, it says,
Oh, I never looked it up on GPS. I
oh,
was so
that's
used
funny.
to it.
That's funny. So we decided, okay, we'll head that way, and we have some things to share about once you're there in Bern, Indiana, or Geneva. And then we did have a couple of places that we thought you should stop along the way or coming back. There's all kinds of interesting things that you could get up to. So you could make a weekend of it.
Mhm.
You really
Sorts of
could.
things.
I have not been to Limberlost for about 10 years, but it's a place that we discovered. My mother and I, we're huge readers,
Mhm.
and we discovered Gene Stratton Porter's books, which are phenomenal. I would encourage anyone to look her up if you haven't read any of her books. I can think of Freckles was one that I loved, Girl of Limberlost.
Mhm.
They're just really, really engaging. And it made me want to go to this place. So anyways, that's how I discovered it. You grew up there, so that's
I
neat.
grew up there, and that was when I was a girl, when I was in high school. The Limberlost cabin was just sitting there, and it was one of the photographed places. But we could go in. We always had an older lady in the town
Mhm.
that was kind of the gatekeeper and
Mhm.
took your entrance fee, which was 50 cents or $1, I forget. And you could just go in and wander around the cabin.
Oh,
And it was that way for a long time. I'm not sure when they made it an actual landmark or a state park,
I
state
didn't
park
discover
now.
that, but I did discover that in 1980s that there was a group that decided they wanted to take, because the swamp had been drained,
Right,
and
right.
they wanted to bring it back to its natural state because it flooded there
That-
every year anyway.
That was when they brought, I think that was, well, they were trying to get the Loblolly Marsh, which is now and also a nature preserve. But they were they needed to do some renovation on the cottage, on the cabin, to preserve it. And it had a big barn there. But then the last few years before COVID, when I was going back to visit my classmates, then I saw they've got a visitor center, they've got an edge of it where you can go out and watch the birds out in the meadow and in the fields.
It's really quite something.
It is.
It's really quite something. All right, so let's look at some of this. I loved going there, but I love visiting our state parks. I love going, just
Very nice.
walking. I can't say that I'm a super big hiker. I have friends who are, but I really do enjoy walking through our state parks.
Just walking through the area, whether it's a swamp or a woods.
Yeah, just seeing the
listening to
birds
them.
and oh, I really enjoy that. So you found a video for us that we are going to attempt to play. And let's see, I might have to change this up here. No? Okay, sorry everyone, hold on a second. Give me a moment, I apologize. And I need to get to there. There we go, okay. Full screen, and you found this wonderful video.
I found a place called Investigate Indiana, which I'm sure has some other places too, but I found it late last night. Thought it was really neat.
Well, for some reason our sound isn't going here. I hope it's going for everybody else
somewhere,
because it's not going for us. But this is, it's really fascinating. That's the cabin.
It's the old well.
And this is from the turn of the century because she was in around the turn of 1912. Right.
And I think they started building this around the turn of the century.
Well,
we were the turn of the last century, not this one.
We were sharing, and I really hope everybody's hearing some of this. If they're not, then they're hearing us, and I'm not sure.
In the library, there's a nice library at the old IOF building that has a nice display of Gene Stratton Porter. My father took a lot of the pictures that were current. He was an amateur photographer.
Oh, that's interesting.
In the 50s.
That is interesting.
60s. This is the Loblolly.
The marsh area.
The marsh area, yes. That is an excellent place for looking at birds. There's a trail that goes through there, goes over some of the swamp. The video talks about looking for the marsh birds and the other birds and insects and its native flora. It
was a beautiful area. Really beautiful area.
Just imagine how it used to be 100 years ago.
Yeah, because they've had to restore this. I would imagine there was a lot more birds. Okay. All right, so we're back. I really am hopeful that worked for everybody. All right. So what you saw there was Gene Stratton Porter, the cabin, the grounds. It's really, there's quite a lot there. There's quite a lot there. And we were discussing, we both love Gene Stratton Porter's books. We both love to read, and that we might have to do a whole series on authors on Indiana, and we'll do a whole show just on her, because if you're not aware or aren't familiar with Gene Stratton Porter, she has a fascinating story and history, and wow, what a woman. Anyway, so
she was quite ahead of her times.
Very much so.
As my grandpa says, people thought she was weird for going out in the woods and wearing pants.
Yeah.
Or pants in those days.
Yep. And then, I mean, she became really famous.
She was.
I mean, she had a home in Hollywood. She was really involved in that industry and very just interesting. So now some other interesting things that I found there. You gave me a book on unique finds, oddities in Indiana. Did you know that the largest cider press in the world is located here?
Oh,
The
no, I didn't.
largest, yes.
I didn't.
In Bern, Indiana. It is currently at the Swiss Heritage Village, which is a living museum, sort of. They do festivals, they do all kinds of stuff, and you can go there and visit. Now, to let you guys know, I have links of everything that we're talking about that I'll send you out later today. So everything we're talking about, I have links to it, so you can look it up and find it for yourself, decide if you want to go there and see it. But yeah, this is hand operated. So I would imagine that there's larger ones now that are mechanical, but this is a hand operated cider press that they restored, and they moved it here, and they use it on festival days.
Oh,
Other than that, it's not operational.
Yeah, I don't know if there's that many orchards around there where they could get.
I just thought that
apples
was
and things.
interesting. I
It
was
is.
like, I found that in the book you gave me.
Good.
That's an oddity.
I haven't read the whole book, but it's a pretty interesting book with all these places to see. But Bern is very much a Swiss community. Bern was founded by people that came from Switzerland. That's the reason it's Bern.
Oh, okay.
Geneva was 3 other little towns that combined
Mhm.
when I was there. And I think still there's like 999 people in Geneva. Bern's a little bigger. That's why they have more restaurants and more eating places. By the way, Geneva is having a sesquicentennial this year. It was founded in 1872. So we're at our 250th year. They're having a big festival days in August. I was there when they had their centennial, their whatever 200 years was in 1972.
That is, when I was looking it up, and I remember going there, it's really a quaint town.
It is quaint.
It feels a little bit European.
It's and the Swiss, and Bern is very much the Swiss. Of course, they have that theme throughout their town, and it always has been. And there's a lot of Dutch, German-speaking people there. My friends, when I grew up in the country, they some of their parents still spoke German, spoke Dutch. And of course, there's a lot of Amish people.
Right. It's a big
Amish
the
area.
largest Mennonite church.
Right. But that's different. The Amish and the Mennonites
They are. I have friends. I can't say I have any Amish friends, but I do have some friends that are Mennonites. And we often compare. I was raised in a Baptist sector that was kind of similar.
Right.
I don't follow that as an adult. I am still Baptist, believe it or not, but not that Baptist. But but we always have found it interesting to kind of compare notes on how our upbringing was.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
The Amish are very secular. I grew up, I went to college, I went to school with them up to the 8th grade. Once the Amish get to the 8th grade, they quit. They have to quit. And that's when they become an adult and start taking on adult duties. There's lots of horses and buggies, and they still have the hitching posts in the town. We have a little grocery store in Geneva, and the hitching posts are out there, and where you can park your buggy and your horse.
It's really neat. It's just, I find it interesting. So some of the places that I thought you have to go, and you can tell me if you recall these places or agree, but there is the Bern Antique Mall. I don't know about you, but that's why, even though my children are older and I only have them all together every now and then where I actually need a van, I still have a van. I still drive a van because I go off on these little adventures, and you don't know what I might come home with. And I need space to load up my van with my finds. So I had not gone there, but there was the Bern Antique Mall and Remembered Again. There was also a trading company.
I haven't been to those. I think a lot of them are newer than after I left the area.
Right. They looked like, I mean, they looked to me probably in business for the last 20 years or
Right.
so. There's also Honeysuckle Antiques. I mean, there's just quite a bit right in downtown Bern. So you could park your car
Mhm.
and just head around.
There's a lot of antique and a lot of the Amish. I don't know if they still do, but they used to make quilts and have a lot of quilts in the
I would
areas.
enjoy that
Yeah.
very much, very much. Then the food, there's a place called the White Cottage.
I haven't
Super charming,
I haven't been there.
super
Again, makes me
charming, just
new.
down home food.
Uh-huh.
Are there any Amish places to eat?
I don't know of any. There used to be an area called Amish Acres, and you could go on the Amish farm and you could stay there. You could go on buggy rides and you could go out and help with the cattle. Of course, everything's done by hand, and all the farming is done with horses. You still see the horses pulling the plows, pulling the hay
Wow.
rakes.
Wow.
And you see the pretty horses out in the fields when they're resting.
Well, you know what I think a lot of people might know this, but we live out in the country,
Mhm.
down a little bit north of Crawfordsville, technically a Crawfordsville address. But I love being surrounded by farmland and woods and horses. And I don't ride horses, but I always like to think maybe one day. But I love to just watch them and see we enjoy all that.
Interesting, yes.
We definitely enjoy that. Some other things like places, because I always have to know where's the best coffee.
Oh, that's a great coffee.
There is a lot of coffee shops, little unique coffee shops. There was two that I thought, well, that has to be a must stop. The Alpine Rose Coffee Shop and the Filling Station Coffee House.
That's interesting. There's another drive-in that was there when I grew up, and it's still there. Some of my friends said they were waited for every summer. It's a drive-in
Mhm.
restaurant called the Trees.
The
And it's a little
trees.
outside the edge of Bern, but it's still a good place to eat. And again, it's just, it's not a chain, it's a local.
Those are the best ones.
Right.
Those are not to say, I mean, I don't want to discount some really good chains out
Right.
there, but I'm always looking for like, where's the singular place that somebody owns and has worked forever.
So when I travel, I love to stop at these little places. Little
I do
places
too.
like that. Go through the little town and see where there's a lot of cars.
My husband and I often travel to go try food.
Mhm.
We were heading down to Key West. It was the year before last. And we drove because I love road trips.
Mhm.
And that's a long drive, but we actually took a 3-hour detour just to get barbecue in Alabama. Like way out of the way, because why not?
That's right. Why not?
Why not? And it was worth it. It was worth every bit of that 3 hours. It was so good. Then we were also looking at, so you've gone over to this side of the state. You've got Bern, you've got Geneva. You could head up into Fort Wayne. But right there's so much to do right in Bern and Geneva.
Right.
I mean, that's a whole day, if not 2 days.
And I could mention a little farther south into Portland. You go down Highway 27, you get into Portland also. It's kind of an interesting older town. The Salamone River goes through there.
Well, interesting that you say that. The Salamone River State Forest is kind of, you going back east on the way back and a little bit north. So that whole river runs through there, and there is a state park around it.
Right.
And forest. And looks beautiful. I haven't been here, but when I was researching this, there's Kissing Falls. And I thought, well, Kissing Falls, I need to know about that. I mean, I can get my husband to take me to Kissing Falls.
I'll have to look at that the next time I go up that way.
Well, it's not too bad of a detour. You stay kind of on the same road coming back, because you'll go up through Logansport, which that's a whole other place that you could stop in and do stuff. I didn't even get into that with Logansport, but there's Kissing Falls in the Salamone River State Park. I mean, that is a place, it just looks absolutely stunning, kind of reminiscent to me a bit of Turkey Run south of us with the waterfalls and things. But then there was also 2 other places, the Beehive there's a Beehive Life, Sweet Life Honey Farm.
Oh, that sounds
And
neat.
that wasn't too far. That's not too far from Salamone
Uh-huh.
River in that area there, not too far off the main drive that you're going.
Mhm.
Cute little shop. They make honey, obviously. It is a bee honey farm, but they had just lots of cute little things and,
Uh-huh.
and just edibles and things like that to try. And then I thought, well, you are coming back through Logansport,
Mhm.
and Logansport has really a ton to do. So if you wanted to stop through there, there's a lot more than this. But did you know that the Cass County Carousel is there, and it's an original carousel?
Oh, originally, was it
It's
carved?
been
Carved?
restored, yes.
Oh,
And
neat.
it's been restored there, and
Yeah.
it's operational, and you can go and ride on an original carousel. Now, I know that, Lafayette has
Uh-huh.
done that carousel, but
Mhm.
I've always found carousels fascinating.
Yeah, there's just something about riding and the music, and it's
Yeah, it's
just maybe it's your childhood coming back.
maybe. I just always find that really fascinating. But I mean, these are just some neat things that you could take a weekend, you could take a week, you could take a
Right.
day. There's a lot to
There's
do in
just
Indiana.
so much to see if you just start out one day or look at the map and say, well, let's head out that road.
I
That's the way
think
to
one
go.
way that we always do, so if this is an interesting thing, if you haven't tried this, go into your Google Maps or your iPhone Maps, whichever app you're using, type in a destination, or you can actually just drop a pin,
Mhm.
right? And then you can blow up on it
Mhm.
and you'll see all of these things pop up. That's how
Right.
I found some of these things.
Right.
One, I Googled what to do in such and such place. But along the way, places I found by you just blow up your map
Mhm.
and you can just kind of go through okay, this is where I'm going, what's off the beaten path. And
Mhm.
then you can click on it and it'll come up with pictures, reviews, all these things about it. I mean, what a neat way. We didn't have that. Now, when I was young, you just took that map and got lost,
That's
which
what I
is
was going to say.
kind of fun too.
Yeah, I found some really neat places getting lost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not advocating not getting lost. I just, if you like a little bit of a plan.
I have no sense of direction. I used to come to a crossroad or a branching off and almost just flip a coin to decide which way to go. I could never figure out which way was north, south, east, or west, but I found some great places.
So you're more like my husband, and I'm the opposite. I always tend to know where I'm at. I see the world in pictures, and there's like a grid in my head. It's really interesting. I can't add for anything, so don't give me coordinates.
That's very helpful.
But I can get somewhere.
I get
So,
there. I get
yeah.
there. It may take me a while,
May
but I
take
get
you a
there.
while, might take longer, but
But
you'll
I
get
see some
there.
neat things.
Well, I hope you guys all would enjoy taking trips. And we'd
So,
love to hear from you. So if you've gone to any of these places, when I'm going to send out an email with all these links and all of this stuff so you can see it for yourself and hopefully plan a trip for yourself. But if you've gone there, share it with the rest of us.
yes, I'd be glad to hear what people think about.
Yeah, I will
places.
too. I will too. And in fact, what I think I could do this time is I can email everybody as a group. So if you have information on any of these places, you can share that. You can also comment on the video once I post it up and share with each other there. I think that would be a really fun way
Nice.
for us all to share our travels and explorations around Indiana. Well, next week, we're going to go to the Southwest. We're going to head over to Columbus, Indiana, and Brown County State Park. And there is a ton there. There's Nashville. If you haven't spent time in Columbus, it is an architectural wonder in the middle of Indiana, which is pretty wild. You don't expect. But it's quite an amazing town. I did a weekend trip there with my mother years ago, and we did some tours. So we're excited to share about that. And Miss Jan Taylor will be our co-host next week, and we'll have more pictures and maps and things to share with you. So I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a departure from our serious topics into something fun. And I look forward to hearing everybody's input.
Me too.
On hopefully places that you've been and what you have to share about it. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday, 10 o'clock. And thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.